It's going down in a few more seconds. Valencia Real Podcast. Let's go.
What's up, fam? It's your boy, Dr. Mike, and it's almost that time to get real, raw, and relatable. Looking forward to talking to y'all soon. Peace.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Terrence. Welcome back to another season of Relentlessly Real Podcast. So excited to have you all back. We got a lot of great stuff. Check us out.
You're now listening to The Real.
Man, I appreciate them dudes for talking about
The Raw.
Wait, they were talking about
The Relatable.
That's exactly what I've been going through.
The Relentlessly Real Podcast.
Welcome to the Valencia Real Podcast, where we discuss real, raw, and relatable topics. Thank you so much for taking time to start our podcast today. Let's kick this off with some introductions. My name is still John.
my name is what? My name is who?
Hey.
My name is Ficket. Dr. Mike.
Okay.
Okay. And I thought I was old. You were telling
Yeah,
me.
you are old. That's still true. Yeah.
That's true.
Go ahead.
And I am unfortunately, as you can see by this not so great lighting and audio, I'm still at work. So it's a life of having a new job. I am still at work.
You're still at work.
Unpaid. That's the worst part. But
You're getting paid because you're salaried. I'm assuming you're not a
Oh,
slave.
it goes in as other duties as assigned. Like,
That's exactly where it belongs, right under other
you
duties.
shut
as
up and you're
assigned.
self-employed, you
fine.
loser.
and some people, I mean, I work harder than you. I have to work. I mean, I'm working all the time.
Oh,
That's
you
what I
heard
mean.
that, Mike? It was shots fired.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm working harder for my dollar. You know? I'm just saying. Guys, welcome to the podcast. We are excited to be back yet again, to have more dialogue, to have more fun, have more conversations as a community, as a podcast community. I know one thing: we are worn. Okay, we are not gonna lie today. It has been a warn of a week. Okay, a warn of a week, and we are trying to pull it together. Even as we speak right now, we're smiling. Our smiling is to keep from crying from how tired we are and how
Listen, you
this
ain't
week has
never
felt
lie.
like the 2 weeks.
Shaky thumbs up. Oh God.
So my question of the day is kind of random. I was looking at a podcast earlier today, and it made me think of this question that I generated for you guys for today. And the question is this: what is the best what is the best relationship advice you've ever gotten or that you would give to somebody else? What is the best relationship advice you've ever gotten or advice you would give to someone else?
Can I go twice? Can I
Yeah,
answer
it's whatever.
both
It's whatever you want to do, Terrence. I don't even really freaking care. I'm not even gonna lie to you, bro.
So the best relationship advice I've ever got is legitimately make sure you are friends first. And make sure you are friends first and spend time nurturing the friendship before going into a relationship. And the best advice that I would ever give is talk about everything.
Talk about everything.
So
That's a very
it is
umbrella.
loaded.
Yeah,
It is
that's loaded.
so. But what I would say is, because it's almost nearly impossible, but I would advise anybody who's really serious about a serious relationship to create avenues and create venues and create opportunities where you all can really talk about as much as possible, because you'll always be reserved in some capacity, right? So to try to minimize as much as of you being reserved and unfiltered as much as possible, and building that as you grow closer. So like, I don't want to have any barriers. I think it would eliminate a lot of stress down the line of having to reveal certain ways of how you felt and having to have stuff revealed certain way to how your partner felt because you just didn't want to be honest. That's why that video you played, like that joke you played, that video you played like a few weeks back, John, although it was funny, it is true. What happens if somebody was just honest when they first met you, or honest, like, whatever it was? And I'm like, there's so much, even though it's a joke, there's so much truth in that joke that it is very difficult to do. But I'm just imagining like a I don't want to say perfect, but a very nice relationship was one where I'm like, yo, I don't gotta filter nothing. I don't gotta filter nothing with her. Like I can say how I feel, and it's not going to be ridiculed. It's not going to be like, we can just have a conversation of how I feel and what bothered me and what I need you to work on and what you need me to work on, and we just keep it moving. So
I don't know. I'm about to say, have you, just real quick, have you ever seen that? Because I don't know if that exists. Relationships where have you ever seen relationships where people just are that open, where it's like, yo, we just say everything. Maybe what you wouldn't see it because maybe they just do it with each other. But I'm just like, I haven't even seen a relationship where people just are that open.
I would say the comment that I made before, the statement I made before, creates a better environment for where that can take place. Because I feel like, and the reason I'm saying is I feel like with us, right?
Yeah.
Like even as us, it don't matter if we're man or female. I feel like with you and you are good friends, and you really are working on and you're putting work into the friendship, you do start removing barriers. Because I feel like we are more or less filtered than we were years ago. Even as friends.
Yeah.
And I would say even with some of my female friends, I am way more or less filtered than I was before, even working on that just friendship. And so I've seen it in pockets. I think your question is very difficult, is because I don't know the inner workings of their relationship, as I shouldn't. But I've just seen it. I've seen it where I've seen them couples out, and I'm just seeing like, oh, damn, you said that? Like, yeah, you said that? Like, yeah, I said that. Like, no, it's like, she said that to you? Yeah, and I'm glad she did because I wanted to know how she felt. And
so I'm I agree with you up to a certain degree. Yes, I agree with the whole develop friendship thing first, right? Excuse me, because that'll determine whether this relationship needs to be like platonic, like needs to be like strictly like just friendship, or this is something worth taking to the next level. Because I've been in relationships before, and I'm talking about just regular relationships. I ain't talking about pursuing to date or nothing like that. Like the thoughts have crossed my mind, but I genuinely just wanted to get to know somebody. And after getting to know them, I'm like, you know what? You cool. Not in a sense of like, there are certain parts about you I don't think I want to pursue in reference to like a relationship between man and women type thing. But it's just like, you dope. Like you dope. I enjoy the friendship. And I think that's all it's going to be. But as far as what was the other thing you said about like being open about everything or talking about everything? Talking about everything, but not everything is worth talking about sometimes. So in a sense of like, I don't know, say if your partner had a rough day or something like that, and somebody say something that they usually don't say in an argument just because of I don't know, again, they had a rough day or you caught them in a bad moment or whatever the case. If you are conscious enough in that moment to say, you know what, you acting out of yourself right now, I'm gonna go ahead and let this one slide type thing, and then maybe we can have this conversation later. Or maybe it's a sense of like, let me let you cool down, and then you come back and you apologize without me even saying anything to you. So those are the situations that I'm talking about. Is like some stuff really ain't like worth talking about, because at the end of the day, you trust that relationship in the sense of, okay, they're gonna come back and correct themselves and stuff like that later on. You just going through a moment right now. I'm gonna go ahead and let that slide and let you have your space. And time and places, like time is everything, right? Timing is everything. Not everything is meant to have like a conversation right then and there in those moments. You got to pick and choose those. But yeah, that's just my, I guess, my little gripe about what you said. Like everything to me is not always like worth a conversation. Some stuff you got to let go. Some stuff you got to let go.
So there's a lot of avenues in this particular conversation, and I love it because what Mike was just speaking to, you and even Terrence was saying, yo, you got to talk about everything, try to address everything. Mike's saying, hey, there's certain things that don't need to be discussed. You trust that that person will, you have that rough whatever situation, and that person may come back and work on that or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So that's a synopsis of what was just said. But what I would say to both of y'all is it's interesting because one of the things I think is you get to a certain point in relationships where there are certain things that make your relationship pivot. And I don't even think that person knows who they'll become when they become that thing. So whether it be your partner or whether it be you, when certain things change the trajectory of your relationship, whether it be that you got married or whether it be that you have kids, whether it be that you have a bigger house, more responsibility, a business, whatever the case may be, it changes the trajectory of your relationship. And you can't talk about you can't talk about it, but you can't talk about who you're going to be in 5 years. You don't know who that person's going to be, what that person's going to think, how they're going to have emotions then, or whatever that person's makeup is in that future version of that person. You can't talk about it. You can't discuss. You don't know. Right. So you might want to talk about some like fundamental foundational things, but there are certain things that are like extracted, like that just start happening, and they don't even occur until that later person is existing.
Has arrived.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. So
I get it.
So to me, it's a kind of like I don't know. It's just crazy to understand. But the other side of it for me, if I was to answer that question, I think I said this before. Having that person that's younger than you, same space with you, and then ahead of you. So having those couples that are benchmarkers of someone that's younger than you, someone that's like treading right there with you, and someone that's like 30, 40 years down the road. Having those type of benchmarkers of relationships that can kind of pour into you that are older, and that's something I know I've fallen off of. I did earlier more so in my marriage, and I kind of fell off of. But I know it was good advice because it helps you see, oh, these are the things that are going to come up in the next season that you aren't even aware of, that you don't even have no knowledge of, and it kind of helps you. It's like a personal trainer kind of talking to you about, this is about to happen. So when this happens, just know, right? But I also kind of feel like, to Terrence's point, his earlier point, where he said, yo, being more open. So society has changed a lot where social media has made everything about being open and more free. And I kind of feel like, why aren't we as open as we could or should be about everything? Like, why are we so like, what are we worried about? I guess is the question that I kind of want to pose before we pivot. Is like, what do you think we're worried about as a culture about sharing X, Y, and or Z about whatever? Like, what are we worried about?
It's to me, it's either vulnerability of like vulnerability of you getting hurt, or like in reference to like the other person, like potentially hurting them behind the things that you say, or like your opinion about something, or whatever the case. There could be like past situations that might have came up that can trigger, like, what, if she or he reacted this way towards ABC, let me not say 1, 2, 3. Let me not say this because I know how I reacted to that other thing. So it's like that. I think those are the things that block us from being like keeping it 100 with folks. I think so.
Yeah.
I think the lack of vulnerability is a killer to relationships, because you can't have, like, love and vulnerability are like they're equal. You can't really love somebody. You can't really love somebody without being vulnerable to them. And it's and then love also requires the possibility that you might get hurt. To really go like in it. And to open yourself up to that possibility. But to go all in, I just feel like you really have to be vulnerable. And I don't see how you do it without it. I mean, the second point, like what John was saying, I feel like we are more open with the outside than we are more open with people in our inner.
Yeah.
And I think that's a gigantic problem. I will say, I one of the best advice that I also think about is that I think it is important for you to have, to John's point, I think it's also good for you to have other couples like older than you and younger than you. I also think it's important for you to have somebody in your circle who has the mindset of the opposite sex. Like as a guy, you should have some strong, at least I don't know, like whether it's, I'm not saying that it could be a sister, it could be an auntie, it could be something who you can bounce like some stuff off of that is in the mindset of how a woman would feel, and the same vice versa. I think as a woman, you should have somebody. You can't get all. You should not be getting all your advice from somebody in the same sex. I don't think it's just. I think it's like it's just it's the equivalent of going to a doctor for lawyer advice. Like this, you would like it's a finding and just like I said, people will what if they're not? You find the right one. You seek wise counsel. Like makes it like you don't just tell it to every person in the opposite sex. You find the right one. Like, and I just feel like, somebody from the opposite sex has, if you are dating somebody from the opposite sex, let me say that. Somebody from the opposite sex has 25, 30, 40 years of experience being that sex. And so you have 20 or 30 years being that sex. So I think you have a wealth of expertise. And I'm going to give you an example. I was talking to one of my closest friends today. And she was kind of describing.
I'm about to say, "Oh, thank you, bro. Thank you, man." Yeah, we were talking. Okay. That's awkward.
She was talking about something that happened today. And it really bothered her. And she was like, and I love that she always gives my feedback. And I said to her, I said, I don't think you should mention it right now. I don't think you should bring it up. I said, because you said to me that your husband right now is going through a whole lot. He's bothered. He's stressed out, whatever it was. And I said, is this thing like a deal breaker? Is this thing like a major thing? Is it thing? She's like, no, it just rubbed me the wrong way. I said, yo, I would like see what the vibe is when you get in the house. If y'all cool, do you need like? And she was like, no, I think you're right. I said, because I'm speaking from the mindset of a guy. Ain't nothing worse than coming home from a hard day work, and then you want to come off with some stuff that's not even a big deal. And I've already communicated to you that I'm dealing with a whole lot. Makes it, and so it's just like even she was like, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. I said, and this is the funny thing I did say. I said, when you should bring this up after you give him some booty. And I said I was 100%. I said, and so let me explain why. You could like you got him in a nice place. You got him in a nice mood. And I said, and how you phrase it is important. Like I've really been enjoying your time with you. Like everything was good. The other day when we were talking about this and you said this, hey, that kind of bothered me a little bit. Like, like can you word it differently? He is more receptive when he's had a release. Like, so it's just like,
clear mind.
Yeah,
clear mind.
And I said, you still got to be delicate how you say it. But the funny thing is, I also feel like it might even be out of your mind by then. It didn't already like trickle to someplace else. Then don't even bring it back up. I'm like,
which brings me to another point. Actually, so I had 2 points. My mother actually, may she rest in peace, she gave that advice, and she said, she was actually talking to Jovita. She said, you guys getting married, you need to pick your battles. My mother said that, and I was like, I never forget that. Obviously, it's your mother. She of course, when she passed on, so that's important. But one of the last things I think you were saying, T, I'm sorry, you would talk. What's the last thing you were saying, T? Because I had a point about that.
I just said like how you say it, and then
right. Go ahead. How you say it and what?
Sometimes it's like it's how you. Say it.
How you say it, and to that point of how you say it, I actually think filtration is important in relationship. And when I say filtration, I mean like you taking time to dilute that or filter it out or think about it for a couple of days. Sometimes could be key. Because if you're saying, if you're doing both, you're saying, yo, pick your battles, right? And then you're also like, all right, let me find 6 different ways I should say this, and then let me pick the best way or pick the best manner. Because I know for me, if I fly off the hip, it's going left. If I do it off of when I feel it the most, 100%. We go at it. You feel what I'm saying? We're gonna go for it. But if I extract the thought out of my mind and then kind of like do the little jigsaw joint and try to like, all right, I think now I got it. Then
piece it together a certain way and then deliver.
Package it. And let me tell you, it's gone left. Even after I did that, it still be like, I did it though.
Yeah,
I did.
So I wanted to back up a little bit to what Terrence was saying about, like, I think you mentioned something like not a big deal. I heard you say that specifically, and it might not be a big deal to, I guess, whoever is listening, but for somebody to bring up something like that that's bothering them, it's a big deal to them. So we just got to make sure we're not diminishing or
minimizing.
I asked, was it like, is it a big deal to you? Not to him. Is it a big deal to you? And so ask like, so it's one of the things where like it's funny because I don't want to count my point earlier where I think you should share everything and be unfiltered, but it's not unfiltered the way John is saying. I definitely think how you communicate requires a level of filter. Like, and we talk about this in one of our very first podcasts. I talk about how communication is what you say, how you say it, who's saying it, when you say it, and the frequency of what you're saying. There's like 5 parts of communication. How often I'm saying it, who's the person that's saying it, when did I actually choose to say it, what's the method that I choose, that text message, did I say it in a video, did I say it in person, and then also I got to take into account who I am in saying it. Because sometimes it don't really matter who you are. If you are deemed as being untrustworthy from your spouse, you talk about anything about trust, it doesn't really matter who you are. Because you've lost their trust. So that cancels out all the other 4 things because of even you're saying the right message, you're saying it the right way, you're saying it at the right time, you're saying it in the right format, but you're the wrong messenger. And so it's just like that's in the whole purpose of communication is to get the point across, and so that the person can receive the message. And a lot of times we in couples relationships, we want to communicate to get it out, but you're not communicating so the person can receive it. And the best communication is crafted in a way so the person can receive it. Doesn't matter how you want to get it out. You need to craft it in a way they're going to receive it. So I think being mindful of that does require, like John said, it might require some patience. It might require some filtration. It might require you to walk away and come back to it and visit it and let it, all that stuff, right? And so I think that is important. I agree.
Like getting down to the point of like the communicate. What's the purpose of even having a conversation in the first place? Are you trying to get back to a level of like cohesiveness and like everybody on one accord, or you just want to get your feelings out?
Because that what you're talking about right now, Mike, is like understanding. That understanding's a big part of communication too. Because like that sense of saying I get, because I think a lot of times what's missed is like somebody just saying I get it. Like I get what you're saying. Yeah, that's a big part. Like somebody saying I hear you. And even if it's not valid for you to take and change, it's valid for you to express it, or it's valid that it's or it's real that it exists, even if it doesn't. I don't feel like it's me doing it. It's real that it exists. Like those type of things matter.
Just so what you're saying, I'm gonna rephrase it another way. You can debate with somebody till you're blue in the face. How what you did might have been wrong or right can be debatable. How what you did could have been a good example or a good thing or a bad thing, always debatable. How what you could debate all this stuff. What you can never debate is how what you did made somebody feel, because you're not them. And I hate when people in relationships try to debate. When someone comes off a lens, I see what you did, but I want to talk about how what you did made me feel. And we can let me get how I felt out. And then we can go into what was the intent, what was the direction, what was the goal. But you can't challenge how something makes somebody feels. And
that's a really good point, T. And I've heard this before. That's a really good point. And LaJonica just hit the nail on the head, Pauls. Impact versus intent. Because that is true. Because I think a lot of times, I know I do this. I'm very guilty of this, and I will own that I'm very guilty of this. As someone's articulating an argument, because I didn't intend for them to understand it that way, I'm like, well, you're taking it wrong. Like I blame them. It's your fault for taking it wrong. You're stupid. Like you're stupid. That's not what I meant.
Right.
It's so rude, but I know it's rude, and I'll be like, but no, but you're stupid for not being. I mean, I'm right and you're wrong, So that's a great point. To be able to say like, I intended, and I've had a challenge. I will say this is interesting. This is actually groundbreaking for me because
This is really good.
Because I've always had an issue translating what I actually meant to say, and it's been for years. Like, I mean, going back to like Towson Gospel Choir, like 10, 15 years ago, I would make people cry. I'm like, no, I just meant to say you didn't sound good on that one particular part. They're like, you didn't say it like that. And they're crying and crying. You know what I'm saying? So but what I've noticed, even for me, I'm the type of person that needs to like also blur it all out, like blurt it all out or say it all out and then and get it out. Otherwise, if I keep it in, it's also equally dangerous. Because keeping it in
fester, man.
It's really dangerous.
It either festers or I express it to my guys, and you'll never know. And it'll just be something in my head, and that's what that's.
And now
that's
you
the other
now
side
you
of it.
build your own narrative, your own story for say if it comes up again and again and again, and you constantly talking to your guys or talking to everybody else, but the person that actually like has offended you or has caused a problem or you feel as though has caused a problem. Again, all of this stuff is built up, and then it'll be the one small thing that comes up that's slightly relatable to the situation, and then you just gonna blow up. It's gonna blow up. And this was like, yo, like, why you coming at me like that? I literally just asked you to pass me a spoon. Why would you ask me to pass you the spoon that way? See, that's what I'm talking about. You did this, and it's just gonna go way left, man.
One of the things that you said, Mike, that I also learned is that, and I'm glad John said it, that I learned this year while in therapy.
Learned with the T, LEA.
I learned this year while in therapy.
Okay.
I learned this year while in therapy, and I want to put in practice is allowing your partner to rephrase or adjust how to communicate something to adjust it for you. So in other words,
say that, make that clear. Okay.
So I'll give you an example. You said it this way. You said it this way, and the person took it the wrong way, but you didn't mean for them to take it like that. And you all can have a discussion about how they felt, because whatever you said caused them to feel some kind of way. But what they have to do also is give you the space to say it in a way that's more palatable for them later. And a lot of times what we do is we harp on the way you said it the first time, and we don't allow the partner to rephrase it. Like the thing that both therapists were saying is, why is we in couples, do we allow grace for our coworkers? Do we allow grace for our kids? Do we allow grace for our students? Do we allow grace for our boss? Do we allow grace for our friends? But we don't have no grace for our partners. We have
because they should know. They should already know better.
Right? That's not true.
Yes,
I'm being facetious.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah. I'm just saying it's just so not true. Yeah.
So what my therapist said is, if I said it like this, and you didn't take it like that, right? I need to allow you a chance to rebut what you said. Right. Have a rebuttal. And let me say it in a way differently. And that's you were saying, like, you don't use it. That's one thing you work on. And before this year I would fault you. No, you need to say it the right. But now I'm like, no, I'll give the person a chance. Okay, they understood that they offended you. Now give them a chance to say it and correct it in a way that they really meant it. What I was trying to say is this: you did not hit the note correctly. I didn't mean to say you sound like butterball trash. I didn't mean to say you sound disgusting. I meant to say,
which is true.
You were flat,
it's
and you got to work on your pitch. So maybe you need to either.
You say pit? You said pitch with a P, right? Pitch with a P. Oh, okay. I got you. I wasn't sure what you were saying.
I'm out.
No.
Hey, but that actually
go ahead, Mike.
That actually coincides with what Renee was saying about the whole I hear you taking I hear you a little further and then recapping and understanding. That's it's called closed loop communication. So like you can say one thing, and then if you repeat it back to that person, just to ensure we're both on the same page in the conversation,
right?
And that gives that person that's trying to communicate to you opportunity to clarify or to acknowledge, like, okay, cool, we're on the same page. Let's keep moving forward in the convo. Right. Yeah, that helps avoid the level of I guess offense or like in a way where like whatever you said, it might have been miscommunicated or in a way where it's like, it could come off as offensive. Yeah.
Yeah, two things can be true, and that's the thing that we gotta get better at. I think in the realm of communication, like two things can be true. I could have been trash for saying it the wrong way, but also you could learn to understand what I really meant too.
Yeah.
Like two things can still be true.
So I learned that too this year.
Man, it's been a growing year for you. Yeah,
I feel like so. What my therapist was basically saying, and I'm gonna brag about it. She was just saying, especially in the confines of relationship, learning. There's two things. You know how you communicate, but also validating that how your partner communicates, and you understanding that it's like you built this connection with your spouse, and so I know how they communicate, and so they may not have said it how I wanted to say it, but I also know what they were trying to say, and we try to make them convert to our way, and you can't always do that. You have to give them credit for trying to communicate the best way they know how, because if the ultimate goal is, for example, is for them to love you, right? The ultimate goal is my partner loves me, right? And we talk about love languages, and sometimes yes, I want my partner to show me love in the way I receive love. I got it. It's pretty good. I got it. Right?
Don't do it.
I knew he was.
No.
However, what you also end up doing is because they didn't package it the way you wanted to package. You lumped them in the category of someone who didn't love you, and that's not fair because they were showing you love the best way that they could communicate love. And so recognizing when my partner did this thing, they were at least trying to express love to me goes a long way to lumping them in somebody who is, oh, my partner didn't love me. And a lot of times she said that works the same way with communication. Like you want them to communicate in a certain kind of way to tell you how they felt. And they didn't tell you how they felt the way you want them to know how you felt, but they were at least telling you how they felt. So how could you meet them in the middle? I would like it if you say it like this, but I can at least agree when you said it to me that you were trying to communicate this type of feeling or whatever it was. Yeah. And so allowing space in the area is what we were kind of been talking about.
Yeah, that's all great. I mean, last thing I was gonna say about this, and I think this is the essence of somebody trying to be the victim sometimes in these conversations. And it's that sense of like victim blame. I want to win, or So if you win by saying, "Oh, you said it wrong to me," which happens a lot of times, that becomes the win. Like, so when Terrence first started talking about, he said, if the goal is trying to understand each other, if the goal is trying to communicate, that's that's really the question that needs to be answered a lot of times. Like, is that the goal? Because sometimes people just trying to win. Yeah. Right. And sometimes people just want to be, or sometimes people just want to be victims. I want to be able to say, no, you hurt me, and let's just rest there because you hurt me, and you hurting me is more important than what you felt or what you intended to actually say. Now whatever you meant to say doesn't matter at all because I'm hurt. It's crazy how communication can become an art of war. And actually, this was not even meant to be any part of the topic for today at all. If you actually can believe it, we were not supposed to hit any of this like that. Pause. But we have been on this topic for a little while. So I wanted to go ahead and say this. If you don't know, Biden has decided, guys, that he's going to go ahead and take care of loans for you guys. I don't know if you guys saw that. Did you see that? Did you see that come through?
Not all of them.
Not all of them. That he says. So here's what it is. Biden's plans calls for up to $20,000 in debt cancellation for borrowers who are recipients of Pell Grants, which, according to the Education Department, is a federal grant that is awarded to undergraduate students with exceptional financial need and have an annual income of under $125,000 for individuals or under $250,000 for families filing jointly. The plan also calls for $10,000 of loan forgiveness for all other federal borrowers with the same income limits for individuals and families. If you were claimed as a dependent on taxes, eligibility will be based on the income of the person claiming the dependent. So bottom line is anyone that's at $10,000 of loan forgiveness and below, if it was a federal loan, it could be forgived, and you don't have to pay it back.
Is that forgive with a T?
Forgive. like Terrence would say it.
Yeah.
But I think that's so I think it's dope, but I think it's so like I know Terrence will probably chime in on this one, but I think it's super strategic that he's doing this at this time. And for this reason of like, oh, we're getting near election season, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to start cashing in on the things that I've been saying that I was going to do a couple years ago. But at the end of the day, this is what he said he was going to do. Jeremiah Vine says, I already forgave myself all of them loans years ago, Mo. They've been off my credit for a while now. Can't lie. Yeah. That's funny.
I want to say that so bad. So I actually am not going to say that because he actually has been doing his entire presidency. So if you think about
doing what?
Loan forgiveness, he's done more increases.
He's been talking about it, but he hasn't.
No,
this is the first actual thing he did.
No, it's not. This is not.
What else has he done?
He's instituted a lot of programs of loan forgiveness since almost his entire presidency. It didn't apply to everybody who had Pell Grants, but for like different groups and different pockets. You have to fact check it. Every time they've I'm saying there's a lot of loan forgiveness he's done throughout his presidency.
Like you talk about for emergency responders
for different groups of people. This is one of the major ones. But for different groups of like public servants, he's done a lot.
This is a wider net, though, Terrence. This is what he promised.
I got you, but what I want to say is, I'm saying is that he has instituted loan forgiveness programs for lots of groups almost his entire presidency. Now, where he chose to do it at is kind of in the mercy of what he can get approved through Congress. But he's done this. He's also frozen loans pretty much the entire COVID, almost. And each time, if you watch, this is somebody who has a lot of debt. Each time it's about to end, he finds a way to extend it. It's about to end in what's today? The 20 what? Today's the
24th.
It's supposed to end on the 31st, right?
It's 6 days.
They're gonna extend it.
They're gonna extend it. Yeah. So just like I'm not. He's been on presidency. The biggest issue is the only problem I have is, do you understand the amount of debt that people have? Literally $10,000, $20,000. It doesn't really move a needle for a lot of people.
Like not with interest rates at 3, 4, 5, 7, 10%.
Yeah, I was about
it
to
doesn't
say
move the needle.
Part.
Yeah.
If you think about it, especially and the issue is especially for minorities who've had to borrow hundreds of thousands of dollars to just increase the equity to be on the same playing field as our counterparts who haven't done that. And so it's like almost like it doesn't move the needle. So my issue is, if you want, that's why I've always been a proponent. If you want to talk about reparations, don't give people a blank check. Just cancel debts for minority. Cancel college loans for minorities. Like I said, certain things
that's not a good answer.
Listen,
you said what? That's not what?
That's not a good answer because a lot of people don't have that. Like they have debt, but then everybody doesn't have debt. Every minority doesn't have a lot of black people don't even go to college, bro. So if you cancel their debt, what debt? They went straight from high school to Walmart.
What I'm saying
what
is,
debt?
If you're thinking about two things, I'm talking about a fragment of what you could do besides giving out a blank check. And so one part of that would be canceling student loans and then making college free. That's equity work. That's about leveling the playing field. And so, you could make college free, and that's great. What about this? It's the same thing as, okay, from now on, if you sell marijuana, you don't got to go to prison. What about the hundreds of thousands of niggas you done locked up for marijuana already? Like, you gonna leave them in jail? Like, so now I'm now in jail for something that's totally legal. And so that's the point. Like, you gotta find a pocket instead of I'm 100% a fan. That's why I said, John, we got an argument the other day of one of I think it was we talk about comedians. We talk about comedians, and I think it was I don't know if it was Dave Chappelle or Chris Rock. One of them, or they both had a skit when you gave out a blank check for reparations, and you give out a blank check for reparations. I'm sorry, I'm just one of those. It's gonna be a lot of niggas that's not using that for something that they should use it for.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a lot of us that do.
I'm about to say, just you guys, we don't have to go back that far. PPP loan. They're extending the daggone investigation for 10 years to find every black Negro and every white person, whoever else that decided to start a fake LLC and get free money. They coming after everyone right now. Like, so don't tell me that they won't. Like, I know what we will do when we. You said what? All I gotta do is what? Start a company? No problem.
LLC.
LLC. I have 45 employees. Our budget is $5 million. Like people were lying, bro, and they are locking Bama's up heavy right now. So I know that that's real. And I'm not saying, to Brandy's point, minorities hold a lot of debt. Here's my issue with the debt and college debt. Okay, we bought into the lie. We did.
What lie?
We got it. Huh?
What lie is that?
The lie is, if you go to college, you'll get a good job, and you're gonna be able to financially pay all these loans back, and it's gonna be no problem. Within 3 to 5 years, you'll be back to where. The reality is, we didn't know that. We didn't know that going in. We was like, nah, go to college, we're gonna be good. Yeah. We went to college, took on $30,000-$40,000 a year in debt, and then put on interest, and then deferred, because we didn't get a job straight out the gate, because you can't get no job in your track. It's got to be entry level, and you're not gonna have the bread off the break to pay that money back. We know that. And then you meet somebody, then you get married, then you get more and more debt. Then or you get a car and you get in more debt. Like, the reality is, it's already like postured a position for us to not even win before we even start. So I'm saying, I knew
a lot of minorities had the education though.
No, we didn't. I'm not saying we did. I'm not trying to say we had the education of that. Go ahead.
Yeah, as I'm answering James' point, I disagree with James' point, because, like, equity is different from equality. Equity is about leveling the playing field, like pushing people forward. And so my issue is that's what I say. I'm very clear. Freeing up college tuitions and debt for minorities is significant, because one of the reasons why we go to school in order to move forward, but we have to go into debt more than our counterparts to even move forward. And I'm just taking a teacher, for example. Teachers are borrowing $60,000 to $70,000 a year just to get paid $30,000 to $40,000 a year. And so the math ain't mathing, which is why there's a significant teacher shortage, which is why I've been an advocate. You ain't getting blacks back into the teaching field. Don't do it. Don't try it. They're not doing it. It doesn't pay enough, right? So people say, what are we going to do to get more minorities? There's nothing you can do to get more minorities in the education career path, because it doesn't pay enough, and there are other fields that pay more. If I'm going to borrow money to go to school and borrow money, because now people, I agree with John. Now we are more hip. The word is out that I'm going to be in debt for quite some long time to borrow money. If I'm going to be in this debt, the least I can do is to get a better career and to get a better job. It just doesn't pay enough. And so what I'm saying is, making college free is one aspect. If I was in charge of reparations, I would add into that discounts or credits towards home ownership that minorities would have versus their counterparts. I would add into that health insurance, and I'm not talking about just cheap, quality health insurance. So you got to level the playing field to kind of fix up the gap that we have created as far as
they're not interested. I mean, they're not interested in that. They're not interested in leveling the playing field. That's not that's a non-starter.
How does that?
That's a non-starter. Like, it doesn't benefit them in any way. So what they'll do is say Black Lives Matter and make y'all pay for them to do whatever whatever company says that you guys go. We all have been guilty of saying, oh, we believe in that narrative, and we was like, oh, let's buy into that because they believe in Black Lives Matter. That was the wave that we were talking about back when that was popular. Yeah. So like that at best is the issue. But to Brandy's point, no, we were not hip of that, Brandy. And I agree. I'm not saying it from the viewpoint of we were hip from the beginning. We were not hip.
Not at all.
We were not hip.
Like I think about the Student Service Center, man. Like when they had that joint lined up with banks and credit card companies and stuff like that at the school,
man. They were like, "You're gonna get that bad debt. You're gonna get a bad debt for the first 2 years."
I was literally talking about that today with a coworker. Like we were in a car going to get something to eat. It was like, yo, like I remember all
predatory
the
lending is what it's
called. Yeah, predatory lendings and all that other stuff. Oh, but you get a free cup. You get a free T-shirt. It's like,
Yeah,
oh man, I get
yeah,
a month supply of toothbrushes too. That's what's up.
but you also get a free credit. I mean, it's a credit line, so you don't have to have a job. You apply for the credit card. You get a $5,000 credit limit.
Yep.
And you go crazy. Do whatever you want to do, and you have no understanding experience. So yeah, you get the free cup, free T-shirt, free hat, and do whatever. The point of what I was saying to even Brandy's saying, yeah, we had no clue. But you know what's the interesting thing about? I don't know if anyone else experienced this on this panel, but my community especially, I felt during that time of going to college, if we didn't know where we were going, you felt stupid. If you didn't know, if you didn't know your plan and didn't have if you wasn't going to be, and you felt like you felt left out and ostracized and marginalized, like, yo, you're not going to college, because it was a thing of prestige in the Black community back in 2003, circa 2003, where everyone was about to go to college, whereas they were like, yeah, my son's going to here and my daughter's going here, and they got $10,000 of money, and they got $15,000 of money towards their college or whatever it may be. And so there was this weird thing that happened in our community, at least my community, where it was like, if you weren't going to college, it made you feel like, man, I'm an idiot, I'm stupid, right? So it made it seem like it's made it seem even more attractive than it even needed to seem in the first place. So now you're attracted to this thing that now has predatory lending, and now you're going into years of debt, and then you graduate and realize you can only get an entry-level job, and then it's going to take you 15 to 20 to 25 years to pay this debt off if you do it according to their banking standards. So the question we all have to ask is, who wanted us to believe that college was going to make us not even wealthy, well off? Who wanted us to believe that most? That's the question we got to ask, because somebody was behind the agenda of, oh no, go to college. That's a narrative, and we believe the narrative, and now we're here.
So we got to take into consideration the timing of when the narrative was built. It wasn't always a thing where we could go to college, right? I mean, we know that much a part of our history as a Black community that those resources and stuff weren't available to us. So when we struggle to get that level of education available to us, or fought so hard for it, now we've built that narrative like, hey, we fought for this, now you need to do this in order to better yourself in this society, in this nation, or whatever the case, to even the playing field, to build that equity that you were talking about, Terrence. But I think eventually that narrative started to shift where, let's see, the powers that be of whether it's this country, the world, whatever the case, they started to look at it like, oh, wait, they're going to college. How else can we make money off of this? And there were certain things that were put in place, like the credit card companies and our student service centers and like the loans and things like that. How easy it was for us to be able to get loans to go to college, and sold to us in a way of like, hey, you'll deal with these loans. You'll have enough money to pay those loans off later. Don't worry about it. Go and get your education.
You're gonna make millions.
What lies, deceit.
No, it's great. I actually really appreciate that comment, Mike, because it really helps me think about the fact that it really is that we always are behind. That's the reality of this life. Like, whatever information we're getting, it's always 5 years old, right? Like, whatever, and we're on the cusp of it. Like, we're like on a pinnacle of understanding it, and we're the last to get the pinnacle of understanding because they already have had it and have already monopolized it, and then they're like here. And so, that's what I'm learning about right now, like this, quite literally. So to Brandy's point of like, yo, we didn't know. Yeah, true, we didn't know. But there's something that's amazing about this time, is that it's free enterprise and free information in this season of life right now. So like in life right now, especially with social media, it's like whatever they used to be able to like hold in the back rooms, nobody's holding it anymore, because they're so ready to like readily sharing information. And information was what was holding us back. We didn't have our parents. I agree. Our parents went off the information that they knew at the time that they thought was great information. Now, what are we doing with the information that is now freely dispersed? Never before has information traveled so fast with the outbreak of social media and TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Now we have this all coming to us, the data coming to us quickly. But are we even monopolizing as quickly as we can to say, yo, our kids don't have to have that same journey that we had? Because we know it. We now know that.
And transparency.
Smartphones alone, even having smartphones alone, they didn't come out to like 2005. And so even that alone has just like
changed
even outside of social
Yeah.
media, just that access, like
Yeah, I was thinking about like you were speaking about like the time in which we got the information or our parents got the information, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking about like my parents, they never finished college. And to go through the things that they went through that I'm understanding now, as far as like not just being an adult, but having like certain conversations with them, like they sacrificed so much for me to be able to get to this point. Of course, they're going to want me to do something that they haven't been able to accomplish, thinking and understanding like, yo, if you go to college and get this education, you'll be 5 times, 10 times more better off than what we were.
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, and the only thing I wish I probably would have got more of is to push for more scholarships. I know I didn't push that hard for scholarships because my folks were like, hey, you know what? You'll deal with the money later. We'll deal with the money later. Because that was the narrative that was given to them. And that was the narrative that other people gave to me. Deal with the money later. Just go get the education because your job's going to pay for it later. You know what I'm saying? So not necessarily their fault. It's just
no. And I don't even want to make any kind of sense of like fault, right? Like there's no sense of fault. I agree with you. My dad didn't go to college. And my dad, I'm looking at my dad. I admire my dad in a lot of ways of what he became and done. What he did was so little, and able to become, do real estate and all that stuff. I'm like, man, like, how did you even make it all happen? Considering what you did, the stuff you didn't have, you were not supposed to be what you became, based off of those resources. So like, let me be very clear. I'm not knocking my parents. I'm saying we did have to buy into a certain narrative. And we got to be careful of the narratives we're now buying into. Who wants us to believe that this next thing is going to be the next thing, whatever that next thing is? Who wants us to believe it, that we'll purchase it and buy it or whatever, or fund it such that, we do it for because like I know right now, most of us on here on this live and whatever, we're not about to just freely take our kids into college knowing what we know right now. We will not do that. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that, yo. We will not be like, yo, if our kids say, yo, dad, I want to be really, really wealthy, or mom, I want to be really, really wealthy, we're not going to be like, oh, well, you should go to college, son. That won't be our advice. You know what I mean? That won't. We now know that's not the end. More so because we lived that, right?
And
go ahead, T.
So let me give you an example, because even if it is, like, I'm going to give you, like, even if it is, he's going to go to college, my mindset will be like back then, we were like, well, you need to go to the biggest and the best schools, whatever it was. Like, you gotta go to this school. You gotta go to this school. This school is known for this. Now, my mindset is like, oh, who's giving you the most money? I want to know what school is giving you the most money. Because at the end of the day, I don't know too many people who I got denied a job because I went here instead of, and I only went to Towson. And I could have went
don't you dare talk about my alma mater like that.
No, listen to what I'm saying.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm saying is like it's literally you just like my mindset is shifted, and I was like, for those who are educators, even in school districts, there's a shift in general of not just putting college on everybody. Like we were just having a discussion, within my higher ups, and we have kids who come in with credit deficiencies. And so which means they're like, whatever happened in their life, circumstance, whatever it is, they're coming in. They might come into a building from another place. They're 17 and they have no high school credits. And so like you're 17 and no high school credits. So you're credit deficient. And having conversations, realistic conversations about what are the opportunities for you realistically. Like, and it used to be, let's just push him into college. He can just achieve this. No. We need to have some honest. Number one, college ain't for everybody.
Yeah,
bro, you don't go to school.
Yeah,
like, bro, you
don't come to school now.
You don't come to school now.
Right.
You legally have to.
Right.
Like, make sense.
You do not need to go to college at all.
Right. That does not make sense.
I'm just one of the people. I like. It's not for everybody. Would I like everybody to attend if they have the money? Sure. Would I lie to a student and ever say that the likelihood, let's just be realistic, numbers don't lie. People with a college degree, I don't think anybody is disagreeing with that. People with a college degree tend to have a better chance and usually, as far as earned income, have a better chance historically than the people who don't. I think that number is starting to change, though, don't get me wrong, but it's still true, right? So I don't think that's our gripe. If college was free, I don't think anyone else would be griping right now. Like it would be a wealth experience.
Yeah.
So the issue is more so it's just like there are other opportunities. I remember when I was teaching, and I'm teaching a full caseload. I'm a grad student, and I actually have another almost 4-time 30-hour week part-time job, and I'm barely bringing in $78,000 a year, if that. Right? One of my students came in, yo, what's up, Mr. Robinson? I'm at Best Buy. Like he coming to the stall, and he's like, yeah, what you doing?
Best Buy kiosk.
Best Buy, yeah, it literally was a kiosk. It literally was a kiosk.
I just want to tell the listeners. Yeah, go ahead.
But I was a manager there, so don't.
Whatever. Who cares? A manager at a kiosk? Who cares?
It don't matter.
I'm the manager of this kiosk. What? Look at me unlock this kiosk blind. Don't nobody care about it. Look at me unlock this.
John makes you defend yourself because it really wasn't even a kiosk. We had an actual store. We had a store. John makes you defend yourself. He tells lies. Like I had a Best Buy.
They had 9 products at that Best Buy. They had like, 9 products.
Go for it, boy.
They didn't have no pads. They only had power cords. If you need a USB cord, you come to this kiosk.
Power cords and batteries. Stop it.
But go ahead and tell your story. I'm sorry. Tell your story.
But I had keys. I got to pull the gate.
You got the keys, bro. Go ahead. You can manage it. Got the keys.
Pull the gate down.
Let me pull the gate up. Let me ho. Back up. I gotta put the gate up.
Back up.
I gotta unlock the store.
Yo. But the sad thing is, it's so funny. But the sad thing is, I have a full-time job. I have a full-time job.
I'm sorry, Terrence. Talk. I'm sorry.
Let's get back to it.
I'm trying.
I have a full-time
That's
job.
his testimony.
I have to work at a kiosk. Like, why do I have a full-time job? I gotta work at a kiosk.
I'm sorry. You right. Go ahead, T. Go ahead. Oh God.
That's terrible.
I haven't laughed this hard in a minute. No, go ahead, bro. Get your job, bro. Go ahead.
Full-time job, and I got a kiosk. Like trying to make
ends meet.
Yeah,
right. They still living paycheck to paycheck, right? So my student comes in. Here goes my student, no debt. He said, "What you doing, yo, Mr. Robinson? You was the best teacher I ever had." Blah 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 blah. You know, I've been talking about you at my job. Oh, what you do? What you do? Oh, I drive trucks. I'm making $85,000 a year. Bitch. The amount of pain in my face. Like, the amount of pain in my face.
Your student making more than you.
Yeah. What?
It was the $95,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
Mixed with the no debt.
No debt.
No
None.
debt.
Yeah.
0. So it's just like, I just learned, like, you know, like.
Did you sell him a power cord after that? You tell him how to get a power cord?
He said, I actually did.
Hey, bro, you need a power cord for your iPhone?
I got commission out of him.
You got commission. Well, you made your $6. That's all that matters, bro. That's all that matters.
I bought you some iPhone, Charlie. Why are you playing?
This is terrible.
That's right. That's right. No. LaJonka's right. Let me highlight that. She said we are changing lives, Terrence. That's what you're in the business of. Okay? You are changing lives. One power cord at a
I got laughing.
Oh God. Oh, that just cracked my spirit all the way up. You hear me? This man said I'm the manager of the kiosk.
It was a kiosk.
I know. I saw it. I was there. We've been friends for years, guys.
Kim, unfortunately, I cannot turn his mic off.
No one can turn his mic off. We all can control our own mics. That's the power of a podcast. Guys, that's actually going to be it for today's podcast. We kind of stopped at the Best Buy kiosk on your way.
Can we talk about how they don't even exist no more?
They don't. They do not.
They don't.
They either have a real one or they don't have none at all.
Either way.
The best thing you could have did was leave that job, brother. Here are your keys. I'm done. This is my last day. All right, guys. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into the podcast today. We actually didn't plan to have this. Actually was great because it just went organically the way it's supposed to go. I had a lot of other stuff, but I'm glad we didn't go there because we talked about the things we need to talk about today. So thank you so much for tuning in. My name is John.
My name is Mike.
And I'm just gonna go back to my kiosk. Like
you already know you already know where you got to go, brother. You on the clock.
He's manager of the last kiosk, just like the last Blockbuster.
It really was
the last block.
Yeah,
the last one, man. Yo, signing off, y'all.